p.m. We got a great show in store for you tonight. Maria, say what's up to the people.
What's up to the people? Peanut says what's up to the people too. She wants to be on the show.
I love it. I love it. Real quick before we jump into the show, we're going to tell you who this show is brought to you by.
Brought to you by Orange Mountain Designs, Tennessee Tap House on Peters Road, Blue Water Climate Control, Alexis Hornbuckle Basketball, and VolunteerRoadshow.com.
Woo, woo.
I am doing it, sharing, promoting. I'm doing all the things we're supposed to do to get people involved. Like I'm gonna bring them in on my personal page here. Give me just 1 second, and we will get started. Lex, you're supposed to be sharing better. So, are you sharing?
Yeah, I'm trying. I hate this new. I don't know. My phone updated, and I don't like it. I'm gonna get it though. It took me a while yesterday too to get it. I'm gonna get it.
All right, I've got it out in the wild there somewhere. First thing we're gonna start with today: the SEC Win Challenge. We got to shout out Kyra Elzy, former Lady Vol, Kentucky head coach. She started this 10 years ago, has stayed with it, and has raised tens of thousands of dollars for the Pat Summitt Foundation. It's real easy. Go to patsummit.org, sign up for the SEC Win Challenge. You can pick any SEC team or Tennessee if you don't want to make us mad, or any other NCAA team. You just pledge a certain amount, $5 a Tennessee win, $10, 15, 25, 50, whatever you can afford or you're comfortable with. And then at the end of the season, the Pat Summitt Foundation will send you an invoice and you can just pay it at the end of the year. So this is one way to back Pat. This whole month, we're getting into the We Back Pat. Alexis, what does We Back Pat mean to you? And I mean, it's got to be emotional too. I know Bobby's going to show a photo of the celebration of life with Pat, and that her stool and her whistle right there.
Well, for me, We Back Pat, I mean, it has a lot of significance in my life, obviously, being a part of her last championship run, but also just being a part of a team that she coached and knowing what she stood for, knowing what she fought for, knowing all the tools and, just things that would not take us to the championship on the court, but take us to a championship in life. And just being able to keep her alive in some way, being able to say, we support this, we back Pat, we want to help other people, who struggle with the similar disease. And that's what it is. And I have had family members who have, in the long run had Alzheimer's, or dementia. And I know people whose parents and friends, and it's close. It's very dear to me. It's very close to home. And to be able to do this, shout out, like you say, to Kyra Elzy for starting it, but also for keeping it going. And then for everyone else who stepped in and said, you know what, this is a great idea and we're not going to stop this. So everyone that's listening tonight, whether you are a true Lady Vol fan, if you are a fan of women's basketball, you should be a fan of Pat Summitt. And this is something that you can get involved in, this SEC challenge, and help make a difference.
And like I said, you could, if you're a fan of another team, you can pick any team. You can pledge a win for that team, and it will all go to the Pat Summitt Foundation. Because the biggest thing, the biggest legacy Pat would want to leave is that somehow we find a cure for this horrible, debilitating disease. It like you said, it's impacted every family, and it's a horrible thing to witness. And Pat's legacy is looking back at me and players like you, but Pat's legacy is going to endure forever. And that's another thing, and y'all got to stay with us tonight because we're also going to have a photo coming up later of Pat Summitt and Alexis Hornbuckle on the bench that I found. And Alexis is going to tell us about that conversation.
As
Look
best
kind of
as I
one-sided conversation, but we also, obviously, Orange Mountain Designs is a sponsor. We got Terry to agree to put up a t-shirt. And before you show it, Bobby, I'm going to ask Lexus, there's going to be 2 t-shirts you're going to see. You can only see them here tonight. They will be available on the website, orangemountaindesigns.com. But Alexis, you know the Lady Vol logo. There was an attempt to take it away.
Oh, yeah.
And Terry Holder and her company have fought for the Lady Vols logo, have kept the Lady Vols logo in a retail market where you could find so many things with Lady Vols, and kept the legacy of Pat Summitt going. What does Terry Holder mean to you at Orange Mountain Designs? And Peanut is just loving our show tonight. I mean, just loving it, apparently.
I love it, Peanut. I'm not a fan of cats, Peanut, but I love the name considering my auntie gave me that nickname when I was born. So Peanut, y'all have officially known what embarrasses me, and Sandra likes to do that sometimes. But for me, Terry holds a very special place in my heart because I remember the first time I sat down with her. It was me, her, and Kate McMahon, and we were discussing some things that Kate and I were working on before. And just she's so dedicated to the Lady Vols, like true dedication. It's not, of course, she's a small business owner, and that does, affect her livelihood. But she's not in it for the money. She's not in it for that at all. She's sincerely in it because she loves the Lady Vols. She loved Pat Summitt. And for her to continue to do what she does, to have her store, certain parts of her store and her website dedicated to Pat Summitt, to keep her legacy alive, the calendars, the posters, the definite dozen, the packages that she puts together. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know anyone else who is out there doing it, including former players and or coaching people that have been a part of her coaching staff. So for her to do this year after year after year out of the goodness of her heart and out of pure love, and to make sure that every generation gets a taste of Pat Summitt, I mean, thank you, Terry. Sincerely, like seriously, just thank you.
Bobby, I don't know if you've got that photo up yet. If not, you can go. Alexa and I can't see, of course. We're just staring in the Zoom picture, but Bobby's going to show the
I got it up there now.
You can see the Pat Summitt, always in our heart, and the Life is Good. Life is Good is a significant brand too, and obviously agreed to do that with a Pat Summitt shirt. These are you're getting to see them tonight. They will be available on the website. Terry is putting that out live, but this is the first time anyone's seeing the shirt, so we appreciate Terry at orangemountaindesigns.com for sharing us the image and letting us see it here first on the Buck and 2MC show.
Yep.
So that is how to order, and those are what the shirts look like. Now we're gonna have some fun with Alexis now with this other photo. So Bobby, you can put that photo up too. That's quite the converse, and I sent it to Lex so she could see it.
Oh man,
that is quite the conversation that you're having. Pat, like I said, it's a little one side. Caldwell is looking like she's playing the invisible game, like you can't see. Tell us what's happening here. It was against UCLA. That's the game that it was.
Oh, was it? Oh man, honestly, okay. So when you sent the picture, I had to see what goodness that you brought up in my world today. Maria, was it truly embarrassing or frightening or what? But to be honest, looking at this photo or looking at that photo that you sent, I can tell you right now that her demeanor, I wasn't getting cussed out by the eyes. I wasn't getting the stare. So that's a plus. That is definitely a plus. But whatever she was telling me must have been, number one, very serious, and I must not have been listening before, because Caldwell has that look like, I try to tell you, so I'm gonna just keep looking this way. So that's what it looks like to me. And with the expression, whenever I'm doing my eyebrows like up and I'm leaned in, I'm really trying to hear or receive a message or understand, the transaction that's happening in front of me. And coach was probably telling me, listen, you got to step this up. This isn't Tennessee basketball, because that's what I heard a lot of. Hornbuckle, it's time to step up. It's time to make plays. What do you see? I love that coach used to ask us players, but especially her point guards, what do you see? Like, I'm telling you to run this. You did this. Why would you? And I'm like, huh? So that one wasn't a real bad one. You picked a pretty decent photo to go through. But Caldwell takes the cake with that epic. You should have listened. That's what that looked like.
Yeah, I love how she's just sitting back. What and you actually, I mean, it's not easy when you're in Pat's line of fire. And you admitted, I mean, you could be stubborn and you could be set in your ways, but you never really bucked Pat in terms of listening to her. I mean, you weren't one of those kids that like you'd see Pat mad and dribble up the left side of the court. I mean, you saw Pat mad, you just go right to the right side of the court. Let her yell at you going down. So, what was it about your personality that was well matched with Pat's?
The competitor in me. She's a true competitor, and I know that at the end of the day, she wants to win, and that's all I want is to do whatever it takes to help my team win. And so I wasn't so much worried about her tone most of the time because there was always a message that she was trying to say that is going to help our team, clean up on either the offense or defensive end. It was something that I could do better to help the team. And so that was really important for me to listen to. Now, I can't say I always agreed, and I can't say I always went out there and did exactly what she told me right after that, but I had the utmost respect for her. So every chance I got, I'm looking at the bench or I'm going near her because she made it very clear, pretty much since my freshman year, when you're on this court, she was determined to make me a leader and make me an extension of a coach on the floor. So I really took that to heart. Like, hey, I get to be a little mini Pat out here. So let me see what she has to say, and let me see, what am I not seeing? What am I not getting? Or what can I do better? Because I know if I didn't correct that, Maria, obviously we both know where I was going to end up, and that was on the bench being a professional cheerleader, clapping for the team. So I didn't really want that.
And you mentioned, how hard I was going to be on you. I don't know if you remember the ODU. You were playing in Norfolk in the
Okay.
2007 NCAA tournament against Army. That's where
Yeah, I
Kansas
remember that.
won twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that was the game where the locker rooms are open for NCAA interviews. The day before the game, and I think it was that venue. I may have the year off. It may have been 2006. But I had found that old photo of you from Faces in the Crowd from Sports Illustrated. Do you remember that? I have got to track that down again.
Please don't. Please don't. Let me tell you the last time I saw that photo in person. Playing for Phoenix in the WNBA. Come to practice one day. Diana Taurasi decides to print it off and put it in the locker. I'm like, why would you do this to me? And everybody on the team obviously was cracking up. I was like, listen, my mama did this to me. I was in sixth grade. We were hyped, and the whole Coolio braids thing was kind of in then. And I'm like, I'm about to be in Faces in the Crowd, ESPN. Like, mom, I gotta be on point. That was a bad decision. That one was a bad decision. I will never live that down. Is there a way? Hey, Google, if you can hear me, take it down. Take it down.
Did that? I've got to find that again because your hair was going like in every different direction.
It was the Coolio, man. It was Coolio hairstyle.
I love Coolio's music. I remember Parker seeing it and squealing. I thought she was going to collapse laughing as soon as I pulled that thing out. So you're a very good sport because
I didn't have a choice, did I? It's embarrassing, but it's funny. Like it truly is funny. It's one of those things you'll never be able to change, and you got to be able to laugh at it.
I mean, we all have some childhood photos like that too. I mean, that are.
I'm actually glad you couldn't find it because I guarantee you would have gave it to Bobby and it'd be on the screen now. So I am so happy you have not found that yet.
I won't give up, Bobby. I will not give up. Bobby, do we need to thank sponsors yet? I never do lose track. I lose track of the time.
Yeah, why don't we thank Tennessee Tap House on Peters Road in Knoxville, and anybody that orders anything for today from Orange Mountain Designs. We already had 2 winners from our last show, the Buck and 2MC last show, that I've got to get the coupons out for entree for 2. Does not include alcoholic beverages, just the entrees at Tennessee Tap House on Peters Road.
Absolutely. Hey, not having to pay for the entrees means you can get more spirits or beer. That's what that means. So don't look at it like, oh man, no. Say thank you. Okay.
You got the food free, man.
That's it.
Then you can drink more. That's the way. Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
There you
go. We
go.
also said we were going to share stories about Pat since it's the SEC Win Challenge and the new Pat Summit T-shirts at Orange Mountain Designs. Lex, I know you got stories. I'm going to let you go first.
Did I tell the one where she basically told me I shouldn't be able to fly back with the team? Did I tell that story?
I haven't heard that one.
All right, so my freshman year, that's probably when I was the most hard headed. Was my freshman year coming in thinking I was a hot shot or whatnot, and we were playing South Carolina at South Carolina. And Maria, you remember Fabry, the
Mhm.
European guard or whatever? Yeah, okay. So she wasn't great. She wasn't, and this is not in a disrespectful manner. She wasn't the level of Tennessee guards, but she could play, right? But when you're on the court, our whole thing is we don't want it to be a close comparison at all. Should be a vast difference of a Tennessee guard and a and a South Carolina guard, as well as with our post players. So I played like absolute crap. Okay. Lori Moore played like crap. All right. And I mean, Pat is going in on me. Like, I literally felt like I needed to retire from the sport that game. That's how bad it was, Maria. I mean, I got the stare. I got the I like to call it the motherly church talk when they talk through their teeth and with a smile kind of when if you don't get your oh yeah, I got that. I got that. And towards the end of the game, because we were still playing halves at that point in time, and it was closer towards the end of the game in a timeout after Fabrini just did her thing for about 6 points and like 2 or 3 assists and just breaking down our defense like it was non-existent. Pat, we were in a huddle and Pat said, Hornbuckle, you should walk back to Tennessee and put more on your back. Like, what? I don't even get to ride the plane. Like, dang, I know I play bad coach, but dang, I had some other words in my head. But that was probably one of the most humbling experiences because I've never seen a coach get so mad they don't want you to travel back with the team. You know what I mean? Most of the time they want you to travel back so they can chew you out, on the bench, in the locker room, on the ride home, on the ride to the airport, on the plane. You know what I mean? No, she was like, just get out of my face. And she was so serious. I mean, face never changed.
I don't know how y'all take that as 18-year-olds either. I mean, there's adults that would melt into a puddle of tears if Pat was coming for them. There's a radio guy that tells a story about he said something on the radio Pat didn't like, and Pat actually they were doing some interview or something, and Pat got on to him in her office and about how angry she was and the stare. He started crying. And this is a grown man.
Oh my God,
And
I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
spit out my water, Maria. Thank you for that.
it's okay. These 18 and 19-year-olds are taking the full wrath of Pat and withstanding it. And I guess in the back of your mind, you knew she would actually let you on the plane, or were you not certain?
No, I knew she wasn't gonna not allow me to fly back on the plane. I didn't know if that meant when I get there, am I gonna have to do some workouts, run? Am I about to have an early morning because I pissed her off? What's gonna happen? But Coach always does a great job of kind of coming down before she comes back to the players. Whether that's the next day at film or you get called into the office or the next day at practice. Whatever emotions she had during that game is at that game. Once that last locker room speech happens, before we head to the bus, maybe a little bit on the bus, but more so as a teaching moment, like, hey, come up here and watch film or go sit with Caldwell and watch film. But it never carried over. But in the moment, number one, it's embarrassing for your coach to tell you play so terrible, you don't even deserve to come back with the team. Like, that's terrible. You know what I mean? But I knew it was all out of love, and she just at the end of the day, she said you need to play better, and that's the message that I heard.
I think I've told you this, but I'll share it here again. When you were getting ready to play in the WNBA finals as a rookie with Detroit, obviously that's taking place in the fall, so preseason practice has started. And I believe the team you were playing, I can't I'd have to look it up, but there was a lady Vol on that team too. It was
LA.
and I asked Pat, I said, I know you're gonna pull for whatever team has a lady Vol on it, but what are you gonna do tonight with Alexis? Because I knew how she felt about you. And she said, I want both my girls to do well. But she said, but Alexis, that one's special to me. She is special to me. So that night, apparently, she was pulling for the shock.
I appreciate that. It was not LA. We swept the Silver Stars that year.
Okay, San Antonio.
San Antonio. Yeah, and I don't know, man. Hearing that, I got chills. Y'all can't really see it. My palms just got sweaty. Um, yeah, it's just,
We were walking across Pratt Pavilion, and you know how you interview Pat. Sometimes you walk with Pat because she's got 10 other things to do. And she stopped on the court and just looked at me, and she says, "You know, Alexis, that one's special to me." So
I really wish I would have had gotten a chance to, hear that or sit and and have conversations with coach and because I always thought I was a knucklehead to her.
no, man, she loved you. Absolutely. I've always, I've shared that with you before, but I wanted to share it again. You were
Yeah.
special to Pat Summit, so much so that she stopped walking because Pat, she's got things to do. So if Pat stops walking, it's serious because she wants to
Yeah.
make a point.
Number one, I hate people seeing me cry, so hold on.
All right. I'll go ahead. I like to spar with Pat sometimes too, because I didn't play for her. I wasn't worried about the stare or, she couldn't make me get on the line. I'm just,
Yeah.
if she said get on the line, I may have, but she
You brought Maria. I think if Pat told anybody that, if Pat told you that, your butt's getting on the line.
No, so fine, I'll run. But it was at a practice. It was after you guys left, and she was just tearing up the players, talking to me privately, off to the side, saying this player she won't play with any effort. This player, I mean, Pat sometimes would use a cuss word. She would say her give up is broken today, and she was just ragging on him. And I finally just looked at her. I mean, because she was just ragging on every player that, they didn't know what it meant to play at Tennessee. And I said, my goodness, Pat, who recruited these players? And she just
Yes.
stopped. And that
Yes.
eyebrow went up, and she looked at me, and that little smirk came out. And she looked at me like, all right, point made. And there she goes, walking off that, because something got her attention on the court. But
That's too funny.
My favorite exchanges with Pat are the little side conversations we'd have at practice where she would just come over and start talking.
That's awesome. I asked Pat a similar thing or made a similar statement, but she didn't walk away because it was in a game, and I was playing. I think I had like a few turnovers in a row, and she's like, "Hornbuckle, looks like you never played a game in your life." And I said, "Well, you recruited me, didn't you?" I got benched, but it is what it is.
Inside, I bet Pat was laughing to herself later. At the moment, she's gonna be mad.
Oh yeah, it was all on her face. Like I had a flashback, like back in the day when your parents could whoop you. I had a flashback with my daddy with the belt. Like I just knew it was coming, but obviously it didn't. I just got benched. But that was the fear that took over me that actually gave me a flashback.
And I mean that's pretty funny because I guarantee you Pat later on would have laughed about it with you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For
but
sure.
Now, Bobby, I think you've got Bobby. Bobby? We know how much you support Lady Vols, and you sporting that spiffy haircut tonight. We got to get you in here. What does Pat mean to you? What can you share about Pat?
Oh man, just being a Tennessee fan, the Lady Vols dominated for so long, and she had such respect amongst men and women's programs, and she was bigger than life. And I'm a guy. You're supposed to like guy things, but women basketball was Tennessee. For the longest time, as far as a basketball was concerned, it was women's basketball. And I don't know that I missed a Connecticut game. I doubt I missed a tournament game. But I've done a lot of business with some VFLs. I mean, some legends. Last night was Sean Ellis. He played in the NFL. All these guys I talked to, when I talked to them about Volunteer Roadshow and the vision that I have, I always use a Pat Summit anecdote. And that is, she was getting the Arthur Ashe Award, I think right after she had been diagnosed, and she went through that last year. And I can hear her saying it, and I've told a lot of people this. I've even told Alexis this. I'll never forget her saying, "You win in life with people."
Mm-hmm.
And that's my mantra. That's the Volunteer Roadshow motto, is a Pat Summitt quote. And that should speak volumes, because we have football players on here, basketball players, but the motto of Volunteer Roadshow is "You win in life with people." And that's what we want to do at Volunteer Roadshow, is have the right people pushing this wagon. But I can't remember a big game that I missed. Even when I was on the road, I at least got it on the radio. That's what it meant. So those are some of the stories. I mean, I'm your average fan that just loved anything Tennessee, and Lady Vols was just as much Tennessee as anything else, and in a lot of cases more so. It was number 2 in a lot of fans' book for the longest time. Football, Lady Vols.
Yep. That's a fact. And Bobby, when you say that, it just speaks volumes as to why you are doing what you're doing on the Volunteer Roadshow, especially now with Lady Vol Sports. And I just want to say thank you for that, because we need a place for people to go to hear and see information, facts, insight, not, being badgered and beat down for not doing this or not doing that, but uplifting and trying to bring back goodness to the Lady Vol name. So thank you.
Yeah, I want to have the best Lady Vol coverage out there. Period. I want to push it out there, and we've got something special brewing with Kelly Jolly. She's really, I mean, not Jolly, Harper.
But we gonna be Kelly Jolly.
Yeah. There was another player the other day you mentioned. She'll always be the name she was. Caldwell. That was it. Yeah. But there's a lot brewing out there. I think we're back. We're back.
Hey, Lady Vols, go Lady. Y'all see the background? This is last year from Orange Mountain Designs. I was telling Maria before we hopped on, sometimes I just wear this around the house. So I was like, in the spirit of winter and all these crazy winter storms is happening, I just decided to wear my Lady Vol toboggan today.
Oh, one more thing. To make a donation, I put it in the description. The patsummit.org. If you want to make a donation for the Wee Backpack, go to the description on Facebook or YouTube and click the link.
Please, it's going to take money. I'm wearing my short sleeve Pat Summitt 12 definite dozen. I'm in shorts. We talked about this before the show. I don't care what the weather is. I'm in shorts. So look at that, Pat Summitt. I mean, live your life. If we all lived our life by the definite dozen, it would be an incredible world to live in.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah, the animals are loving us tonight. Even Sansa here.
Hey, I've been to about, 5 or 6 basketball games at TBA. 3 of them were Lady Vols and at least 2 or 3 men's. And I'm going to tell you something. When those women played, they was just as loud or louder than when the men's played. There were people there. They were rocking that place. They were rocking it. It was an experience. That place was packed. And Orange Mountain Design, don't forget, they're running that special. I'm going to put it up here on the screen. And their link is in the description as well. And small business. When I've talked to Terry, you ask Alexis what she means to Alexis. You can always tell when there's a kindred spirit. Terry and I have we speak the same language. Small business owner, visionary. We see a big picture, and I just like the way she talks. And her link is in the description. Go out and order your shirt.
I saw some people hop on Facebook. It's going crazy on Facebook. I appreciate y'all being real active. People are definitely saying I'm going to order it. Talked about the quality of the shirts, how soft they are, great quality. Like Coach Summitt was a great coach and a great person. So it's a lot of similarities there. Coach Summitt wasn't going to put a Lady Vol team on the court that wasn't properly prepared to play the Lady Vol way. Same way that Terry Holder at Orange Mountain Designs is not going to put out a product that does not completely capture the whole idea of who and what Coach Pat Summitt stood for. And yes, those t-shirts are really soft. You can wear them wherever you want. I sleep in some of mine. Everything from the t-shirts to the long sleeves tees to the hoodies, even sweats, everything. Even my toboggan, everything is great quality. Socks, oh my gosh, those socks are so comfortable. Go get y'all some Lady Ball socks if y'all have not, because those things, I love them. I don't like to sleep in socks, but if I did, those would be the pair.
I've got one more story before we move on to what's on whatever questions we're getting and the polls and net. And Lex, I'm going to need your input on this story too. I had to look up the date, and it was December 3rd, 2006. You guys played at North Carolina. I remember you lost. You lost 70-57, which is by Pat Summitt terms, that's a wipeout.
Mm-hmm.
And it followed that agonizing loss in 2006 in Cleveland, where you were playing with a club on your hand. Now, I did not travel to that game. Dan Flesser did. I didn't, but I was at practice the next day after the North Carolina game, and I figured, oh boy, this is going to be fun. And Dan was driving back, so he got there a little bit late. Well, practice lasted about 10 or 15 minutes max, and Pat threw out the entire team from practice. Not one player, the entire team. She ordered you off of her court, and I think you had to go be with Heather, which is far worse. Well, Alex Fuller, Sunshine as you called her, tried to start practice again. She went to get the basketballs and the players would run it, and here comes Pat stomping across that court, ordering y'all off of her court and to go be with Heather. And I'm just sitting there shell-shocked. I'm up in the stands like, I've settled in, I've got my coffee, and I'm like, and I just sat there for a few minutes, and here comes Dan. Here comes Dan with his hat. He goes, are they in film? I said, no. I said, Pat threw them out. He goes, the entire team? I said, yep, the entire team. And he goes, this is awesome. Let's go find Pat. And and I said, Dan, I'll be right behind you. Let's go. I was like, and so he said, let's go to Pat's office. So we went to Pat's office. And of course, she's laughing. I mean, you guys didn't know. As far as you knew, she was mad as could be. She said, yeah, I had a point to make today. I'm like, but you threw out the whole team. She goes, yeah, I didn't want to see any of them.
Yep.
What do you remember about that practice?
Remember that exact scenario, the way you just described it. And that was my first experience of a whole team being thrown out of practice on any level. And yeah, we knew she wasn't happy. We weren't happy with that. That was 2 tough losses to North Carolina that season. But we knew she wasn't happy because we didn't have film. Okay. After a loss, we always have film. After any game, typically we have film. And she just seemed kind of standoffish. Normally, you come in, players come in, we speak to coach speaks to us. But we didn't get that vibe that day. So I knew it was going to be a tough practice. I thought it was going to be a good solid 2-hour, maybe a little longer practice where we are about to die. And when she kicked us off, we were kind of murmuring back and forth with each other, like, nah, we're just going to stay here and go through practice. Like, yeah, she could say that practice is over, but that don't mean that we don't have to work on our game or our plays. That's what we were going through. And Sunshine, she took charge and went to go get the basketball. And basically we were going to go through plays and everything. And Pat was not having it at all. Like, at all. Like you said, get off her court. Yes, ma'am. That's all. That's all we could do.
And I'll tell the redemption story. In 2007, just 3 months later, you beat North Carolina in the semifinal to get to the national championship game against Rutgers, and of course, win the program's 7th national title. Pat always knew exactly what she was doing. And that was a case, I think, where she decided that morning she was tossing the entire team out of practice.
Probably, because it was so short, it had to be pre-planned.
And Dan Flesser, being the funny guy that he is, when we left, he goes, she probably wanted to get her hair done or something. But I love Dan. Dan was like, this is awesome. Let's find Pat. And I'm like, no, maybe I'll just sit here a minute and let her calm down.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, that was an experience.
I hadn't seen her that mad, really. Especially when she said, get off my court. I'm like, Okay, I'm just going to sit here and try to be invisible.
We like I think if we would have stayed in practice, I don't think we would have had any healthy players. She would have ran us in the ground.
And she,
I truly believe that. That's what type of practice I thought we were going to have anyway.
You know what I
and,
want to know? I've heard so many stories, especially since she's passed and been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and finally passed, of all these coaches and players talking about how she loved to cook.
Oh my God.
Man, I would that's why I wouldn't mouth back to her, because I was afraid she wouldn't invite me over for some pork chops and mashed potatoes and gravy. But did you get to experience her home cooking? Was she really that good of a cook?
Listen, first off, Pat is a hell of a coach and she has that serious demeanor, but off court, she was like a second mom. Like she just has that motherly love for every single one of her athletes she coached. So we knew we weren't going to miss no meals. So we weren't worried about that. But and plus she enjoyed having us all over, entertaining, having us together. But oh my God, Bobby, the jalapeno corn, listen, before she passed, my mama actually got the recipe from her, which was the best thing that has ever happened to me. Like when my mom started making that, I was just like, oh, taste the Pat. I mean, it was like a whole spread, even homemade ice cream. Like everything was home. Every single thing was homemade, Bobby. Like, oh, just some good Southern cooking. It
That's
was
what I'm
amazing.
talking about right
My
there.
mouth, my mouth watering now.
and how many coaches for selection day or selection night invite the media to their home and feed them for
Hmm.
it? That's where I got to experience the home cooking was as a media member on selection night. And she even put to go cartons up and had people fill up the to go cartons. I remember her when she would open the buffet, she would say, "If you leave my house hungry, it's your fault, not mine."
Yep. She had something for everybody.
Yeah, salmon, steak, I mean everything. Uh, homemade ice cream. I mean just
Homemade
green
mashed
beans,
potatoes,
mac and
chicken.
cheese. Yeah,
Yeah, every Bobby. Think of the best Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner that you could possibly make in your head. And we had that every time we went to Pat's.
Hey, I've heard a story by Sylvia Hatchell, how she would come over to Knoxville and they just didn't have just a snack. She'd have a full course meal, and Pat would cook it. And she went on how much Pat loved to cook. And that's a competitor. Of course, they coach together a little bit, from what I understand. But
Yeah.
UNC late women's basketball coach, and there's lots of basketball coaches that talk about going to Knoxville just to have Pat's food.
Yeah. That woman could she put it down in the kitchen, but and a lot of that I think her special sauce was love. You know, every meal that she made was made with love for the people that she loves and for the pure love of entertaining and making people smile and keeping them happy. So, coach, whew, I know you hear me. I'd kill for another meal.
that was Lopi that went by. We're just all the animals are just going to introduce themselves tonight.
Hey, everybody needs camera time every once in a while.
Before Lex and I dive into polls and NCAA evaluation tool known as the Net, is there anything on social media we need to
Yeah, there
respond
was a
to?
couple of great comments. I was mentioning how our motto at Volunteer Roadshow is you win with with people, but there's a Jackie Durr that says, I have what I call Leadership Mondays with my 7th and 8th grade classes. We use Pat's definite dozen each week. My kids in
Awesome.
Ohio know who Pat is. That's awesome.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
And a lot of great comments about how they love Lex, Marie, and Bobby, Amanda, um, Joan, Donna Hairston. They're all. Donna says she loves the socks from Orange Mountain Designs, but there are a lot of great
Things are so
comments.
comfortable.
Yep.
It's crazy. So, Maria, what we made it. I mean, we didn't make it, but we're making it. We made some strides. You know, we had two great, solid wins. Well, the LSU wasn't a great win, but we had two wins, right? And the SEC, huge, huge start to SEC play. What did that do for the Lady Vols?
You know, everybody says polls don't matter, but there's a boost to seeing your name in that top 25. AP put him at 23. WBCA coaches poll came out at 24 today. We also had availability with Kelly Harper this lunchtime today on Zoom. And if you see the clips on Zoom, she's also wearing an Orange Mountain Designs, that beautiful the corduroy, the gorgeous corduroy pullover. So I mean, appreciate Kelly out there repping it too. But she said, that's what Tennessee's supposed to be. We're supposed to be in that poll. That's the standard here. And I asked her about, does it help with recruiting too? I mean, because it does give you more exposure. And she said, well, and that's when she said, well, that's where we're supposed to be. Tennessee's supposed to be in the top 25. She also pointed out that when Tennessee had to step back from practicing because of COVID, that when Tennessee was cleared to practice, she said, I noticed on ESPN, it was going across the ticker over and over in the women's basketball part, Tennessee cleared to practice. She goes, that's a pretty big deal when your program is just cleared to practice and ESPN's got it on the ticker.
Right.
So and Kelly, like you, she played here. She won national titles here. She understands what it means to put that Tennessee uniform on and what you need to represent. Alexis, is a player, what's your reaction? As a former player, what's your reaction to Tennessee getting back in the polls?
The same one that Coach Harper had. We're supposed to be there. That's our history. That's our legacy. Lady Vol basketball, there's no reason that each and every season we shouldn't be in the top 25. I know that we've been rebuilding, but I think the top 25 is very realistic for a program like Tennessee Lady Vols. I would like to see us eventually climb to the top, top 10, top 15, eventually top 5. But top 25 is something that I feel we should be a part of every single season. And if you are a player looking to attend the University of Tennessee and play Lady Vol basketball, if you're okay not being in the top 25, in my opinion, you're not right for the Lady Vol program, because you almost have to have a sense of athletic arrogance where it says, you know what, I'm going to have a number, a 23, a 25, a 21, a top 20 every single year. And then we'll make strides to get up into higher ranks. But I think that from here on out, there should be no exceptions. There's no other way to put it. We need to be there every single season.
And as Eric Trainer pointed out, the media relations guy, Tennessee has been in the poll at least once a season every year since the AP poll was created. That's the only school that's done that. I mean, Tennessee is a special place.
It is.
And you know that. And as Bobby said, Kelly Harper understands that and wants to get Tennessee back to that national stage. And by national stage, we don't mean top 25. We mean Final Four. That's the expectation at Tennessee. Is it fair? Probably not. But if you don't understand it, don't sign that LOI, because that is the expectation when you put that uniform on.
Absolutely. Let's get back there, ladies. Let's do it. I think Coach Harper has a great shot at getting us back to making Final Four runs consistently.
And then I have been asked, I don't know how many times, what is the NET? And that stands for NCAA Evaluation Tool. And basically, I actually had to take notes just to make sure I don't misstate what it is, because it is new. It basically is two factors: team value index and adjusted net efficiency. So your next question is going to be, okay, what the heck does that mean? Okay, team value index. There's only two factors here. Team value index. Who did you play? Where did you play? What was the outcome of the game? And how good is the team you beat? That is how they calculate the index. So it's basically results and how good was your opponent. The adjusted net efficiency is the overall performance of the season. And it looks at two things primarily. It looks at the offensive efficiency. How many points did you score per possession? And the defensive efficiency. How many points did your opponent score per possession? So it's not only measuring your season. It's a measuring your opponent's season in D1 games. They only count D1 games. So you're not getting credit for beating some D2 team by 75 points. So what does that mean in terms of an example? Okay, let's say when it said, where did you play? What that means, let's say you have a home and home series with an SEC team and you beat them twice. And the measurements as efficiency measurements, say they come out pretty much the same. The road win will be weighted higher. You will get a better adjusted net efficiency for beating someone on the road. Now, the exact formula is not released. There's algebra involved. So exactly how all these numbers fit into it, the NCAA has not released that. So teams are sort of guessing how this number is being generated. And it's updated every single morning. If you just go to NCAA.com, Division I women's basketball rankings, you can see it every single morning if you want to track it all season long. So then the biggest question I'm asked, what is the difference from net and RPI? Because RPI is what all of us were used to hearing for years. The net is what they call a sorting tool. It is based on the quality of the team you played, where you played, how efficiently you played on both sides of the ball, and the outcome of the game. So that is a whole lot more numbers generated and outcomes and efficiency to look at. You're basically being rewarded for offensive efficiency and defensive excellence. And that's the biggest difference. Here was what the RPI was. RPI was winning percentage. That was it. It did not look at winning and defensive efficiency. Your D1 percentage, winning percentage, was 25% of your RPI. Your opponent's winning percentage was 50% of your RPI. And your opponent's opponent winning percentage was 25% of your RPI. What is that really measuring? So the net is a much better tool. It's not looking at winning percentage. You're not getting credit for beating some poor team up that hardly played anybody by 75 points. You're not getting credit for that. What you're getting credit for is how well you scored per possession, how well you stopped them per possession. And they're looking at basically how difficult was it for you to beat an NCAA caliber team. You come out on top in a lot of those games, your net is going to go up. So I hope that explains it a little bit better. It's a new formula, it's a new system, but it seems much improved over the RPI, which was simply looking at winning percentage instead of actual performance on the court.
I think that's more fair. And it makes more sense. And it makes teams want to actually play and compete. And it goes back to, when I played, basically strength of schedule mattered. And then it stopped mattering. And so it seems like they're bringing that back in a sense. But obviously it's a little more to it. It's a little more intense. But good job, NCAA. Actually, good job.
The men have used it for years. The women were just still lagging behind with RPI. And we all know that RPI sometimes didn't play into it. Sometimes because of women hosting the early rounds, people got plugged into different spots. You may be a 6 seed, but all of a sudden you're an 8 because it makes this matchup work better. Or maybe you should have been a 9 seed, but you got bumped up to a 7. The interesting thing about this year is that the NCAA is going to hold this tournament for the men in the Indianapolis area, for the women in the San Antonio area. They don't have to figure out these home court matchups. There aren't going to be any home court matchups. So this is one where that net is going to really affect seeding because they don't have to make the brackets work anymore. They can just flow them in there. So
which is how it should be. This
morning, Tennessee was 24. And the net. Now Georgia is ahead of them in the net. You beat Georgia, you got a chance to move up in it.
Right.
So,
right.
It's an interesting system, and I hope I explained it as best I could. I had to take notes. It's new to me too.
You broke it down beautifully, Maria. Thank
Bobby,
you.
do we have sponsors we have to thank?
Yeah. Did y'all know that 8 out of 10 Blue Water Climate Control customers book online. It's easy and convenient. Book online saves you time and money. Booking online, you can save 10% on repairs, $30 on service plans, 25% on maintenance and other seasonal promotions. Same-day bookings available 7 days a week, including after hours. Pick the day and time that fits your busy schedule. Go to bluewaterclimatecontrol.com and click book now. Hey, the best way to help the Lady Vols is to help this show is when you have an air conditioning problem. Call Blue Water Climate Control and tell them you heard about it on Volunteer Roadshow and how much you love Maria and Alexis and me. And when it comes back around, it helps us, and it helps us spread the word. It gets the word out there because it costs a lot of money to run this. I'm getting to see a lot of the media stuff behind the scenes. And go to Orange Mountain Designs. Be sure to tell them, hey, I'm here because of Volunteer Roadshow. Go to Tennessee Tap House. Tell the waitress, hey, I'm here because I saw you on Volunteer Roadshow. That actually helps us, and indirectly will help the Lady Vols get the word spread out there. So I thought I'd put that in there. And I forgot to tell everybody about your basketball. It's a sponsor on here, Alexis Hornbuckle Basketball.
It is Alexis Hornbuckle Basketball. You can go to alexishornbuckle.com for all information, where I do private one-on-one lessons, small group lessons, large group or team practices, also camps and clinics. And you'll also see a link for FBC Rain, which is a nonprofit girls AAU organization that I run with my father and my girlfriend Sandra Garcia, which is geared towards third graders all the way through to 11th grade. And our only mission is to help these ladies find their place on the court, whether that's Division 1, 2, 3, JUCO, NAIA, but help them get scholarship, help families, get their kids the education that they deserve. So if you know anyone that is interested in North Carolina or South Carolina, please reach out to me. All right.
And I write for GoVols247.com. Sign up. They've got $1 a month special going on right now. Please support women's sports. We are one of the few sites in the network that cover women's sports. And the more people that sign up, the more people that click on my stories, the more it shows how much the coverage is welcome. I've got them on my Twitter, got them on Facebook, got it on at the GoVols247.com website. That makes a big difference when you just click on stories, read, interact with the stories. And like Bobby said, there's a lot of time that goes in. As soon as we get done here, I've got a story to write. Because we talked to Kelly today, and then I've got a setup story to write tomorrow before the Georgia game, and then we'll do the Georgia story after the game. So but I do this because I love it, and because women's sports deserves coverage. And so, yeah, support everything that Lex said. Alexis Hornbuckle Basketball. It's a mouthful. Blue Water Climate Control, Orange Mountain Designs, Tennessee Tap House. As soon as we get out of this pandemic, I'm going to be at the Tennessee Tap House, and I'll make sure I have a ride, and you better make sure that tap just keeps on flowing for me. I will not drink and drive. Got to be safe, but make sure that tap is on and flowing.
I got you. You tell me you're going to be there, I'll be there with you.
Perfect.
Hey, that's amazing. That is amazing. And if y'all truly love the work that Maria does, do exactly what she said. Go check out her writings. Go actually make comments, interact, let people know, because we love that you're sharing the love for us here on our Facebook feed for Volunteer Roadshow and for Maria and myself. But help us make a difference in what we're doing. Help show people that, our true worth, and what we're doing needs to continue.
And I know we've had a great show. We'll just finish up we got 2 SEC games this week. The host Georgia. It's a 6:30 time. Don't forget, we got early tip off, 6:30 Eastern, SEC Network. Alexis, I know Tennessee, LSU, they get after each other on the court, but Georgia's a border rivalry. There's no love lost there, is there?
There is no love lost there, and I don't care what year or what Georgia team, it's always a cat fight. I mean, it's not one of those games where, oh, this is a cakewalk. You better come ready to compete. It doesn't matter who is ranked what. You better come ready to compete.
And then they got to go to Alabama. They beat Alabama last year, but Alabama had rattled off 5 straight wins against Tennessee, and they're back on the road. And what would you tell this team about how you approach road games, especially coming off the LSU road game? What would you want the ladies to do a little bit different at Alabama? And Alabama is a very, very good team this year.
Value every possession. Definitely on both ends of the court. Over communicate. As Coach Summer used to say, communication eliminates confusion, should be constant talking. And also, when you get those scouting reports, when you're going through the walkthroughs, when you're practicing, attention to detail. It's so important because you don't get those breaks on the road that you may receive on your home court. So you got to go in there with the mindset that you're not going to get a call. That every time you go to the hole, is you got to get an and one or get the bucket. You know, we have to box out and get these rebounds and win the battle of the boards. We have to have decent closeouts so that people aren't just getting into the paint and causing our bigs or help side guards to get in foul trouble. That you just have to do the little things. It's so important because you don't have that fan support in Bama that you do in Knoxville, obviously because of the COVID, because if not, it'd be a flood of orange over there. But just remember, there you are there to take away a win from them on their home court. Nothing is ever easy to take from anyone. So if you go in there thinking this is going to be a cakewalk, you're wrong. Do your homework, ask questions, do extra film, attention to detail, and value each and every single possession. And I think we can walk away from both Georgia and Alabama with the W.
And both teams are 10-1. So I mean, don't. I mean, sometimes I think fans got into the habit because of how good y'all were of assuming wins, and you just can't do that in women's basketball now. That you got to go, like you said, you got to take it. It's not going to be given to you at home or away.
Absolutely. Maria, before we head out, do you have anything else you want to say to the people?
I'm good. Bobby, is there anything on the internets that we need to?
Just a lot of love. Everybody's glad that we put out the content that we do, and just a lot of people loving what we do and loving our sponsors too. So, like I said, be sure to tell Orange Mountain Designs you know you heard about us or heard about them on Volunteer Roadshow. Tell Blue Water Climate Control, Tap House, all our sponsors. That helps us help the Lady Vols. And hit lots of likes, and the more likes and the more comments, that helps our analytics. That makes us where we can sell better advertising. All
Absolutely.
supports it.
Like, and follow, or subscribe button. I'm sorry,
Yep.
Maria. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
And share later on if you can. Share these shows on your personal page. Help us expand our audience. We need you guys as much as you like us. We need you to help us.
Absolutely. We need you. We thank you. We appreciate you. Continue to watch us, support Volunteer Roadshow. And you can catch us this Thursday. What time are we going, Maria?
Let's see. They play at 6:30. So we always
9:30.
go 9:30. Yeah. And I'll send out a reminder. I'll be at the arena, of course, since it's a home game.
Awesome. So Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. Check out the Buck and 2MC show as we do a post game of the Lady Vol Georgia game. Be sure to tune in at 6:30 to actually watch the game, though. That's pretty important, so you know what we're talking about on here. And like Bobby just said, press like, press follow, subscribe, comment, and share. Guys, share, like, follow. Couldn't ask you to do it anymore. All right. We love you, and we'll see you in a few days.